I'm going to hand it over to Ryan now, who's going to be introducing a real superstar guest who I'm excited to hear from. You all have a great multiverse fundraiser.
Boy, that was so kind of you, Crayley. I appreciate that. So, ladies and gentlemen, once again, welcome to the Multiverse Fundraiser. This is a great event that we are holding this week, and we hope you've been enjoying all the content we've been providing for you. My name is Ryan of Neuroculture, and our guest for the next hour, 50, 60 minutes or so is a very special guest joining us this week. And please welcome Camille Mitchell. Camille, welcome to the program. How are you? If we can bring her in. There she is. All right. I was wondering. Oh, you're muted there too, Camille. Yeah, we can see you, but unfortunately your mic is muted at this point.
Not be the one where you had to say, please unmute. I was determined.
That's okay. That's okay. Yes, now we can hear you and now we can see you. Thank you so much for being with us this weekend, Camille. How are things going for you thus far?
Fantastic. I'm thrilled to be here. Valerie Perrine has always been a hero of mine. I am so excited you're doing this. And I've got some vintage Smallville magazines, Ryan, from 2006.
Speaking to my Smallville loving heart, considering the fact I'm wearing a very nice looking red jacket and a blue shirt, I wonder which iconic character has put on that kind of outfit before.
Perfect. And for donors, I would be more than happy to autograph them, send them out. They're in pretty mint condition. There's a nice layout on me, but aside from that, but it's a fun magazine. It's got all the a breakdown. It's got interviews with all the cast members from 2006, and it's pretty vintage. So I'm happy to donate those to a good cause for Valerie.
Well, thank you so much. We do appreciate that. I remember going back when Barnes & Noble used to be a thing. Granted, there's still a few of them around, but I digress. I used to go in there all the time looking for the next issue of Smallville magazine, so much so that I wrote a letter to them, and it actually ended up in the bullpen part of the magazine where they let fans write in and submit things that they like to share about the show, whether it's their favorite memories, their favorite moments, maybe some characters they hope to see somewhere down the line. Mine got in there, and I was like, excellent. My life has been made. The millennium is done. I need nothing more because the magazine, in this case, saved me.
It makes me very happy to hear that. It was a fun magazine. It was a fun show. It was a great show. You were, how old were you when you started watching it, Ryan?
That's a great question. I started watching it when I was about 18, so it was about midway through season 5 of the series. Okay. I didn't get into it until the 100th episode aired. More specifically, it's called Reckoning. And that was the episode where we unfortunately lost Clark's father. Jonathan Kent passed away in that episode. And when I watched that episode touched me so much because I lost my dad 8 weeks before that episode even went on the air.
Oh my God.
So when I saw that episode, I was bawling out of my mind and I realized, wow, Superman isn't just Superman. He has challenges. He has struggled. He lost his dad suddenly, just like I did. So in that moment, I related to the character. I loved the character. And that's when I became a fan. So from episode 100 onwards, I became a fan. And then I went back and bought the DVD sets to catch up on the episodes that I had missed leading up to season 5, episode 100.
Right. And I got knocked off in episode 99.
Yeah.
How it goes.
I'm sorry I missed when your original episodes aired, but I did catch up on them on DVD, which we will talk about in just a little bit. But I want to take a little bit of a trip back into the Wayback Machine, if you don't mind, for just a moment.
Sure.
What would you say were some of your favorite films or TV series while you were growing up?
Oh my goodness, that's a wonderful question. Oh gosh. Of course, now I can't think of anything. I used to, this goes way back. This is taking me way back.
Okay.
Any cartoon, any Bugs Bunny. And on Saturday mornings, there used to be, starting at 5 a.m, there was a whole playlist from Laurel and Hardy to Buster Keaton to Charlie Chaplin to, there was something called Bosco the Clown. In my later years, definitely Twilight Zone. In my teenage years, I Spy. Oh my goodness, Superman, of course, always Superman. My brother had a closet high collection of Superman comics that sadly are no
Oh.
longer with us. Yeah.
Mm.
Don't know where they went to, but um yeah, gosh. And I'm sure you've never heard of most of these shows. Donna
Well,
Reed show, Mickey Mouse was a big one, just like pretty tame stuff actually compared to now. Pretty tame stuff.
that's okay. Some of those titles I think I've heard of across my desk. I may or may not have watched an episode or two of those respective series, but I hear things.
Yes, I'm sure. I'm
I,
sure.
I may still be a bit of a young lad, but I'm still learning as I go across across the years of my life.
Yeah.
But even so, who would you say are some of your favorite actors or actresses?
Well, Valerie Perrine is definitely one of my favorite actresses. When she did Lenny,
Hmm.
and just fantastic, and always had a great, just brought this wonderful spirit to her work, this wonderful, fun, big spirit. Also, Vivian Lee was a favorite of mine. I
Oh
don't think she can
yes.
do any wrong. Her Blanche in Streetcar Named Desire with Marlon Brando.
Stella. I just saw that movie for the first time like a month ago.
Oh my God, did you love it?
I had to watch it a second time because the first time I got a little bit too distracted. I was distracted by something called technology. It's a kind of a thing. So then I went back and rewatched it. I realized it's pretty good stuff. This woman
Yeah.
pulls. I mean, all the roles in the film: Brando, Vivian Lee, everyone else. They just good stuff. I'm trying to not revisit, but like learn about the past of filmmaking so I can embrace the future. It's the old saying: respect the past so you can embrace the future. That's why I'm watching all these classic black and white films, such as The Streetcar Named Desire and all the other ones.
Good for you. It's funny you should say that because when I was growing up, there were always old movies on
Hmm.
TVs. And it
Yeah.
not only gave you a sense of, a lot of it was great literature, but it
Hmm.
also gave you a sense of the times. It gave you a sense of history. It gave you a sense of humanity's emotional history, which is so important. And when we have period pieces done today, sometimes a lot of that information that is in these old movies doesn't come out in the newer versions. I'm not saying old is better, but it just lends a different perspective. But I love, who I mean, I I love Pacino. I love especially his pre-scent of a woman before he got into the wahoo. I love Kate Blanchett. I love oh boy, yeah, so many wonderful actors.
Mm.
And so many wonderful shows now on television. Talk about TV shows. Hey, Ryan?
I mean, yes, I may be sporting and representing just one of many, but I digress. No, great pick. By the way, you bring up Pacino. I saw this other classic film not too long ago, Dog Day Afternoon. Very
Oh,
good film.
really good. So good.
Attica.
So good. And his Scarface? Oh my
Mm.
God. That cocaine scene?
Yeah. I mean, that's I don't think I would recommend that to a couple of individuals, but still, it's good stuff, and Pacino kills it. No puns intended here on this show.
Yeah.
But what can I
Yeah.
say? What actor or actress do you hope to work with in the future that you have not gotten the chance to work with yet?
Oh my God. There's so many. There's so many. Um, oh boy. They're actors who, as far as I'm concerned, you watch them and they just can do no wrong. I'm seeing that a lot now, though, on television, even more than I'm seeing in films today. I'm seeing this incredible, flawless, seamless acting. Oh boy, oh my God, I'm loving Brad Pitt these days. I'm
Oh,
loving his work. I loved
mhm.
his Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Oh,
Um, and oh God, Matthew McConaughey. Oh my God. Uh, boy, I'm so sorry. I have a list in my brain, but I just can't access it, Mr. Ryan. But so many, gosh.
okay.
Yeah. Nicole Kidman is doing some amazing stuff too now, don't you think?
Whew.
Did you
Yeah.
see Destroyer?
I don't believe I have, but I am familiar with her work. I've seen a number of her films and appearances and so on and so forth. Granted, one of the first times I was introduced to her professionally was Days of Thunder with Tom Cruise. I can't help it. I grew up in the 90s. There were a lot of things going on back then. And yes, Days of Thunder played repeatedly in my household. I can't help it. I can't help it. Dr. Chase. I mean, well, wait. Well, she also played Dr. Chase Meridian in Batman Forever. Let's not forget about that. So
Yeah.
grew
Yeah.
up watching her in that role. I mean, it's the car, right? Chicks love the car. That was a Val Kilmer line. That wasn't me. But even so, even so. So let me ask you this: what was it like playing the role of Mrs. Robinson? You're trying to seduce me in The Graduate at the Vancouver's Arts Club Theater. What was that experience like?
That was really interesting. For starters, we only had 2.5 weeks rehearsal.
Jeez,
Yeah,
not a lot of time, is there?
it was crazy. And theater, God bless theater.
Mhm.
Anyone who goes to theater, I salute you. I love you. Theater is so important, live theater. But it's so hard to get an audience today. And that's why we only had 2.5 weeks rehearsal. Our first tech dress, which,
Mhm.
as you know, is when you have a dress rehearsal and all the technical stuff is getting thrown in, your lighting cues, your set changes,
Right.
everything.
Yeah.
So it's even more discombobulating for an actor. You think you're on top of your character, you think you're on top of what you're going to bring to the show, and then you have a tech dress and everything flies out the window because it's like, oh my God, that's going to be there. Okay. And so our first tech dress, there was an invited audience. There was a paying audience,
Wow.
and they pay half so that they get to come back later and see how things have changed. But I wasn't ready for that. That totally threw me. Our costume changes hadn't been worked out yet. And
Right.
Mrs. Robinson, as you know, is in bed a lot of the time. And then she's, yeah. So there's some super quick costume changes that, anyway, it was an interesting. So those were the dynamics that we were all working with. And it was an amazing cast, wonderful director, Lois Anderson.
Mhm.
I love the Arts Club Theater. It's
Mhm.
fabulous. Um, it was, the play's a little different from the film. Um, it's based more on the book. It was written for Kathleen Turner, who brought it to the stage in London.
Wow.
Yeah, I think in the 90s maybe.
Mhm.
So it was really written for her. So there were some scenes in the play that aren't in the film. There's a
Hmm.
scene between the mother and the daughter that when they get drunk,
Oh yeah.
and uh and she's more of a troubled soul, I think, in the play, which was really interesting to do. Um, and of course, Kayvon Cashin was my Benjamin. He was fabulous. He was a joy to work with. It's also really weird because my son was still in high school then, and it was, teachers would come up to me after school
Oh
and
geez.
say, "I'm going to come see your show," and I go, "No, no, it's okay. You don't, other parents were coming. It was just, it was a little, I had a hard time with that. I was just being a suburban mom, in my off days and then being Mrs. Robinson at night. So it was fun. It was challenging. Yeah.
My goodness. Yeah. A few years ago was the first time I saw the film. The Dustin Hoffman and Anne Bancroft. Really good film and great soundtrack too. Simon and Garfunkel,
Oh
Gee
my
Willikers.
God. So good.
Hello, darkness, my old friend. I mean, my God, don't even get me started. I mean, what's your drink? Scotch, bourbon. Pours him the wrong drink. Da 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 da. Not happening.
Oh my God. And
You,
Mike Nichols, isn't he?
yes,
Oh, I adore him. I adore
yes.
him. He's a director I would have loved to have worked with.
Oh,
You know,
going
he
back to what we were talking about earlier. There you go.
he was they were originally looking to cast a real waspy looking guy. They were looking at Robert Redford. You probably know this, for the Dustin
Oh,
Hoffman for Benjamin.
oh yes, yes, yes.
And then apparently Hoffman came into the audition and just blew them all away. But prior to, they were looking at blonde haired, blue eyed guys. And yeah, interesting, huh? How that works.
It really is. The fun facts we learn on a daily basis on this earth, including the multiverse fundraiser. And make sure you're sharing this video with all 500 of your closest friends. They're gonna like the way they look after watching this video. I guarantee it. So with
Yes.
that being said, let's go to a lovely place because, as they say in trailers, the Superman legend begins in a place called Smallville. So, how did you get the role of Sheriff Nancy Adams on Smallville, appearing in not just one but 23 episodes across 4 seasons of the series? How did this all happen for you?
Oh boy, it was. I I- I went. I went into audition for another role.
Oh,
It was a one-off. It was a guest star role, but it was only for one episode.
hmm.
I didn't get it. But the executive producer told me later that he remembered my audition and he wanted me to come back to read for Sheriff Adams. Of course, I had no idea. I really wanted this part. It was a really good role. It was in season 2. Anyway, I didn't get it. And then I got called in for this new sheriff, and it was a possible recurring role. It was a guest star. They weren't sure if it was going to be just one episode or what. And so I went in and I read for it, and everyone there, all these wonderful actresses there, they're all looking really cool, right? They're all wearing black leather and they're looking like really hip, super hip police sheriffs. And I thought, oh no, because I was wearing this stupid parka. I was my my hair was, I didn't hardly had any makeup on. I thought, oh, I've really misread this role. And then I was really surprised to get called back. And they called me back several times, and I thought, gosh, I wore, this is what I wore to the first audition. I better keep wearing it, even though I kind of went, And then lo and behold, they called and said, you got the part. The first day was really, everyone was amazing. Oh my God, what a welcoming group of people, cast and crew, just fabulous. And John Schneider, my son, came in the summer. He was 7 or 8, and he would come with me and just hang out. I remember John Schneider, the first day my son was there. John Schneider took him on a tour. He took him to the Fortress of Solitude. He took him all over the set. I mean, my son was in heaven, right? Just in heaven. And
I would be.
And there was one day we were filming out at the Kent Farm, which is a beautiful farm outside Vancouver. It was a summer's day, and we were filming a scene outdoors. And at one point I look over, and there's Tom Welling, Superman, throwing a football with my 8-year-old son in the cornfields. It was so perfect with the sun shining. It was just so perfect. I'll never forget that. It was really amazing. But I never knew if I'd be back, when I'd be back. Sometimes as a recurring character, the writers aren't clear as to where they're going to go with recurring roles. So, but I was thrilled to be on it for so long. I was thrilled to be a part of it. It was very fun. I don't know where her accent came from. It just showed up on the first day.
Oh.
And, the producers at one point said, Camille, we don't remember you auditioning with that accent. And I went, I know, I'm so sorry. But I just couldn't stop thinking about Mr. Kent. I just couldn't stop.
Oh,
So
my
anyway,
goodness.
but what a wonderful group of people. And Tom Welling was just a doll. John Schneider was, and Annette O'Toole was fabulous.
Mama Cat, yeah.
And so was John Glover. He was just wonderful as Luther's dad. And Michael Rosenbaum was a lot of fun. He was just so much fun.
I hear he's very comedic and jokey on set. He's always cracking jokes, always pulling pranks, because Michael Rosenbaum, it's hard for him to sit still for more than like 10 seconds. Is that true?
It's so true. And
I've heard stories about him.
Yeah. And also in the meantime, his brain is constantly, like, he's actually looking at things a lot of times from a director's point of view or a camera guy's point of view. And he's incredibly knowledgeable about the technical aspect of it all. I remember him pulling me aside a few times and saying, hey, try blah, blah, to have it just so aware of everything that was happening around him production wise. Yeah, it was a lovely family. I'd never been on a show for that long, and I'd never been sort of part of a family before like that on television. And it was, it felt just so lovely. Even like the security people were the same guys. There was a wonderful security guy called Rick, who was this big, wonderful guy. And he was on there every season. He was, it was just the same faces, the same people. It was really lovely. Yeah. It was very, very, very nice.
That's truly amazing. I hope to meet some of these veteran actors and actresses in the Comic Cons once Earth fully reopens and we get rid of this whole situation called Corona. Miley Cyrus, get out of here. So We're tired of it. Trust me. Look forward to meeting them as we go down the line. Were you okay with how your character was written out of the show? Because you try to confront two officers who are trying to find secrets in Lex's mansion and all that stuff, and then one of them just pulls a gun in the back. By the way, shoots you in the back, and you're like, "Darn it! What a mother!" You
Well,
drop to the ground, and I'm thinking, that's kind of, I don't know if I would put her out like that, but still. But what did you think about your character's exit through the door? Were you okay with how she was written off, or do you think they could have done something a little differently with your character?
well, it was. I'd never been killed off on off. I'd never been killed before on
First time for everything.
first time for everything.
Jeez.
And I was down in Los Angeles about a month before I found out I was going to die. And the producers always said, Camille, if you're down in LA, come down to Warner Brothers and, bring Charlie and we'll show you guys around. And I was down visiting family for Christmas, and I said, Charlie, let's go say hi. And I called Greg Beeman, the executive producer, who was so kind to me and just wonderful. And his secretary said, of course, you and Charlie come down, book a time. And so we go down, and Greg's in a meeting, but the editor wants to show Charlie the special effects and the stunt work and how they put it all together in the editing room. And finally, the secretary said, well, Greg should be free now. And she says, come with me. And she knocks on Greg's door, and Greg opens the door, and he says, Camille. And he says, come on in. And there's a huge conference screen, and it looks like it's just been frozen. It looks like no one's moving, and all the writers and all the producers are at the table on this huge conference screen.
Yeah.
And Greg looks like he's feeling a little uncomfortable, and he says, guys, it's Camille and Charlie. And I wave, I go, and I see a little hand wave, and it's one of the assistant directors. And they told me later, they said the reason that they were frozen in that tableau on that conference screen was they had literally just decided that Sheriff Adams had to die. And I literally walked into the room just seconds after they had made that decision. And talk about timing, right? Anyway, it was very funny. I mean, we all had a good laugh about it afterwards, but it was bizarre. So when I got on set that day, it's interesting in television. I guess they've had some actors who tape a show but don't show up for their death scene. So the strategy is to film an actor's death scene first, so it's on tape.
Yes.
and I've never heard of any actor not showing up, but I could see it happening.
Christopher Marie says, too bad their guilt didn't make them change their minds.
Oh, thank you, Kristen. Thank you. Anyway, so I'd never been killed off before, and the director, sweet man, Peter Ellis, he comes straight over to me and he says, now, darling, you come, let's have a little chat. Let's come. Now, it's best to leave, with everyone getting along. And I go, no, I'm fine. He says, are you all right? Are you all right with this? I'm going, no, I'm fine. He goes, because you must be all right with this. I go, no, I'm ready to die, Peter. It's okay. I'm ready to die. Anyway, it turned out we had some good laughs because there was a pump that was supposed to pump the blood. And the pump was a long tube that went on forever. And the pump didn't work. So the blood was supposed to gush and it didn't gush. So that's why we had me opening the jacket and looking in, as opposed to the viewers being able to see some blood actually coming out. So the pump never worked. But the actress who shot me, my deputy, Sarah Lind, who's a wonderful actor. She's on Hallmark on a lot of the murder mysteries, Martha Vineyard's murder mysteries. I just did one with her last year, and I hadn't seen her since she killed me. And I said, Sarah,
that must have been a heck of a reunion then.
It wasn't, Sarah, I haven't seen you since you shot me off the show. And anyway, we had some good laughs about that. But
Wow, gee willikers, what a way to go out. First time for everything, folks. Yeah, I'll get shot in the back by somebody I thought I could trust, but apparently not. Okay.
But they could.
Oh, and you didn't hold it against her, asks the Phoenix Sisters cosplay. Well, you could
enough
have.
enough time had passed. Yeah, enough time had passed. But when I finished the show, they couldn't have been nicer. They gave me this huge, beautiful bouquet of flowers, and Tom made
Oh,
a speech, and it was very moving. I got quite verklempt, actually. It was, but she didn't
but
shoot
she didn't shoot
me.
the That's right. Yeah, you pull your gun on one guy, and then behind you, she shoots you, and I'm thinking, dang, dang it.
I
Just
should have.
missed it by that much.
I should have, Kristen. Yeah, I should have. Yeah.
Gee
But
willikers.
it's life. You learn a lot about everything, and it was fabulous to be on that show. And I guess I, what they said too, which I totally get, was they were coming up to the 100th show. They're part of the ads at that point were about that someone's going to die, someone on
Yeah.
Smallville is going to die, and they wanted a red herring before John Schneider got killed off. So that
Oh,
was
okay.
supposedly the logic. At least I bought it. I bought it. That was the logic behind Sheriff Adams' death, was that this way they're going to think it was you, and they'll be really surprised when John goes in the next episode. So
Wow.
yeah.
Wow.
What do you
That's a heck of a journey, heck of a way for me to kick off my Smallville watching life with episode 100 right after you already had passed on. Gosh darn it, I was this close. But I made up for it with buying the DVDs, and now I got all 10 of them on Blu-ray to celebrate the 20th anniversary of
Oh my
Smallville. So my
God.
Yeah,
Oh,
they came out with a Blu-ray set earlier, I believe it was last year, for the 20th anniversary of Smallville because it first aired in the year of 2001, respectively. So they came out with all 10 seasons in this giant box set, and I said to myself, "Well, I gotta get the box set because it's the 20th anniversary and it's Blu-ray, son."
oh my God. Oh my
I have it.
God. And Ryan, excuse me. I'm hoping that people will donate to Valerie's GoFundMe.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And the link to where you can find that is scrolling across the bottom of your screen for those of you who are watching us in the comfort of your own home, known as the Multiverse Fundraiser. And don't forget to share this video with all 600 of your closest friends because they're going to like the way they look after watching this videos of this weekend. I guarantee it.
And I also have these magazines that I'm happy
Yes.
to send along to donors, to high donors. We'll have to figure out a raffle or something if people are interested in it.
Jonathan Kent, still rough to think about, says Matt Movies 68. Oh, that's my boy Matt Kearns. What's up, Kearns? Good to see you there, Matt, buddy. He's a big Smallville fan too. He's a fan.
Oh, good. Oh,
Yeah,
good.
Matt Kearns is a good man, and he's a Smallville fan, so that means we can like each other. So that's good. You met the
Yes.
credibility.
Now, are you? Oh, right. Yes.
Oh,
That's
sorry. Kristen also chimes in. Also, at this point, they were moving away from Smallville stories, as well as moving more so into the city of Metropolis. Yes, that's true. I'm not going to lie about that.
Yes, and there was a new sheriff in Metropolis. Yes,
Oh,
there was a new sheriff in Metropolis. Yes. Uh,
good.
yeah. Now, Ryan, you seem to be. Are you a Superman fan overall? Like, do you have a favorite Superman? Can I ask that?
Yes, you can. And boy, what a great question. I thought I was the one asking the questions, but apparently I'm on the Inquisition. No, it doesn't matter. Listen, I'm fine with that. I've been a Superman fan because I was a Superman fan as a kid, but I didn't really care much for the character. Like I liked him, but I didn't like super. No puns intended. Didn't super like him. I grew up on the Christopher Reeve films. God rest Christopher Reeve's soul. Grew up on the Tim Burton Batmans, all the other stuff that was going on at that point. And I was like, okay, this is fine. I like it. But the Superman movies anyway. I was like, okay, I like this. I like Superman too, especially with the Battle of Metropolis. That's good. But I didn't really care. But then when Smallville came about, and I watched that episode, the 100th episode where Jonathan passes away, and I lost my dad 8 weeks prior to that episode, I realized, wow, I can relate to this character. I understand this character's pain. I understand his emotions because I went through the exact same thing myself. My dad went out the door just suddenly. It just happened. Now, granted, he was battling health conditions at the time. He was on dialysis, but still,
Mm.
he fought all the way through the end, and then he just passed on suddenly. So I'm thinking, why? I don't understand this. Why? Why? And then I watched Smallville, and I realized, Clark, I'm there with you, buddy. I'm right there in that same spot that you're in right now. You don't know what to do with your grief. You don't know how to get rid of the pain. You don't know what to do. So because of the 100th episode, I just became a diehard Superman fan from then on. I was like, you know what? I relate to this character. I dig it. I'm buying it. So Tom Welling and company, I salute you, and that's why I'm wearing this ridiculously good-looking jacket that Tom you
Oh,
wore on the show, and this blue shirt, which you can find anywhere still. But my favorite character of all time is in fact Superman because of Smallville.
wow. Oh my God. That's fantastic. Have you met Tom yet?
Unfortunately, I have not met Tom. I've not met Michael. A friend of mine went to a convention and got me John Schneider's autograph on an 8x10 because I told him that I started watching episode 100 and he relayed my messages to John. So I got John's autograph, but I had the pleasure of meeting John Glover, Laura
Oh,
Vandervoort, who played Supergirl on Smallville, also Erica Durance, who played Lois Lane.
yes. Yes.
And who was the other one? I believe it was it Sean or no, Aaron Ashmore, who we thought at the time was Jimmy Olsen, but then it was Henry James Olsen, and then he comes back later in the finale as the real James Olsen. It's if you watch the series, there's a bit more context to it. But I met him, and I've also met Sam Witwer, who played Doomsday on Smallville. That's another
Oh,
actor I've met, Sam Witwer. So
yeah.
I've met some I've met some familiar faces from the Bill of the Small.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And years ago, just as an aside, years ago, when I was at drama school in London, when they were
Oh,
filming Superman 2 with Chris Reeves,
oh yes.
my boyfriend was working out at the same gym as Christopher Reeves,
Get out.
Christopher Reeves taught him a torso exercise.
What?
I know.
That is absolutely insane. And Kristen chimes in. She says, "I've had the pleasure of meeting John Schneider as well as John Glover in New York City." So I'm assuming you may have
Yes,
met them at New York Comic Con. Is that the event I'm thinking of? Probably.
best
Oh,
Lois.
what's this? The best Lois Lane. Kearns, buddy, pal. There's a reason you and I are brothers. Yes, Erica Durance is, in my opinion, I know there's a lot of debate about this, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Erica Durance and everyone who was on that show played the best versions of those said characters. I think Erica Durance is the best Lois Lane. I think, who's the other one? Michael Rosenbaum is the best Luthor we've ever had. What is it? Curran says, "I don't think the world's prepared for the day Ryan." Well, listen, if I meet Tom Welling, which God willing, I hope I do, because I'm going to have him. I have a print that was the cover of the DVD set of season 5 of Smallville when I started watching, and it has Tom and Michael on the cover. So I have a
Oh,
poster of that, and when I go up to the convention and when I get a chance to actually meet them, I'm going to have him sign the poster.
oh yeah.
That's what I'm going to do because
Oh
season
yeah.
5 is when it all started for this young man right here.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I have to say, Tom Welling was really one of the sweetest guys when we were working together on
Oh
Smallville.
yes,
He was just lovely. He was just generous and kind and thoughtful and very,
mild mannered. No, I'm kidding.
yeah. And also, it was a big deal already in the rest of the world, but in Vancouver, there weren't any billboards, there weren't any,
Hmm.
so that they didn't see the impact until they went to LA, right? Or New York. They
Oh
didn't
boy.
see the impact of Smallville until they'd go to the bigger cities. But in Vancouver, it was a show. It was another show that was on the CW.
Yeah, it was
And
work.
people loved it. Yeah, people loved the show, but it didn't have the visual hype that you would see like driving down Sunset Boulevard where there's suddenly billboards everywhere and so on. So it was a slower process, I think, for the actors to deal with the fact that they were suddenly becoming big household names.
Yeah.
And Kristen
Yeah.
was lovely. Kristen Croik
Oh,
was,
Lana.
yeah, Lana.
Yeah. Lana
Yeah,
Lang. And
yeah.
it's kind of funny that she plays this iteration of Lana, whereas Annette O'Toole played Lana Lang in Superman 3 during the Christopher Reeve Superman era.
Oh my God, that's right. That's
How
right.
ironic. The torch was passed, unbeknownst to maybe the actresses or the actors at the time. Annette O'Toole was the OG Lana, and then Kristen Crook comes in as the
Yes.
new generation of Lana Lang. And I'm thinking, well,
Yeah.
what a coinky. Doesn't DC and Warner Brothers like to mix and match and pass torches on to, from the older actors to the younger actors? I mean, they did it very well with Tom Welling meeting Christopher Reeve in season 2.
Oh yeah, that was fabulous. That was fabulous. And it's funny too, because when I first moved back to Vancouver
Oh, yes.
in the early 2000s, Annette O'Toole was on the same flight. And
Oh,
I just went over to tell her what a wonderful actress I thought she was. And I asked her what she was doing in Vancouver. She said, I'm filming a new TV series about Superman. And it was, of course, right after that, my son and I watched it because my son was such a big Superman fan, and it was only a year or two later that I was blessed to play Sheriff Adams. But it was just interesting to hear Annette talk about this new show she was on called Smallville a
All these
long
little
time
dots.
ago.
I know all these little dots that keep connecting. It's amazing.
Yes, isn't it?
I must say. Now, do you enjoy working within the comic book or maybe the sci-fi genre since you've been on other shows such as Arrow as well as Caprica?
I do. I love doing Caprica. That was so much fun. I played an avatar, an evil avatar.
Oh my.
It was great. I got to shoot someone in that actually.
Ah, a little bit of
But
payback. Just a
um,
bit, just a little bit.
yeah, it is fun. The fun part too is you can get a little more creative with your, with the people who are working with you to make the character, like the costume designer and the hair person and the makeup person. There's a little more. There's sometimes a little more interesting discussion, creative thought about how do we make this character look like Vespa in Caprica. I remember discussing with the hair and makeup person how she should look. And there was some discussion, of course, with the director as well. And it was really fun because it was, should we try this? Well, let's try this hair piece. Let's try that. And because normally playing straight characters in a normal world, a less exciting world, they're pretty straightforward as to how production sees them. But I have found that to be really fun. And Arrow was there was some discussion about that going on to another series. The Green Arrow and the Canaries.
Oh yes, yes, yes.
There was some discussion about that going on, and there was some possibility that my character Maria Bertinelli was going to also be continuing in another, but unfortunately that series never came to pass. But yeah.
Just
But,
missed it.
I mean, the most extreme character I think I ever played, Ryan, was on Outer Limits.
Oh.
It was an alien. It was the mother scientist who recreates the human race. And
Ooh, boy, that's kind of heavy. I don't know if Dr. Emmett Brown could take that kind of scientific abuse, but maybe we could if we took our DeLorean time machine back to 1985. Kearns chimes in. He says, "With Smallville was such a comic book show, were you hoping that maybe at one point you could be revealed to have superpowers, possibly somewhere down the line?"
oh my God, why didn't I think of that? It never ever even occurred to me.
Good question, Kearns.
Good question.
Matt.
Yes. Wow.
Wow, that's
Wow.
well. I mean, let's be honest. Smallville was a town that was filled with a lot of, as they called them, meteor freaks.
Yes. Yes. That is a great question. I think I was so she was so what's the word, skeptical about Clark Kent, and so skeptical about
Especially in the beginning.
those young folks were up to, that it never occurred to me that she might actually be have powers. But that would have been fun. Wouldn't that have been, what powers do you think she should have had?
That beats me. I don't even know where to begin with that. Matt, if you want to chime in with that somewhere in the comment section below, you're more than welcome to, because I'm not sure where to start. I'm still trying to wrap my head around certain ideas. Gee willikers.
Maybe in some kind of some sort of bulletproof vest for starters.
Well, yeah, that's one thing. Or maybe mind reading, so you can tell if a suspect is lying or not. I'm not sure.
Yeah, that'd be good.
That might help deliver law and order. No puns intended. Let's see. Kristen chimes in with super sleuthing, she says.
Yeah. Because I got it wrong. I got it wrong a lot of the time, but
yeah. Oh, I mean, you were very skeptical of CK, Clark Kent, in the beginning, and then as the seasons went on, you began to understand why he was trying to do what he was doing, and then you kind of came to like the big lug.
Yeah,
So,
I thought
especially towards the end of your run.
Exactly. I actually got quite fond of him. Yeah.
Your last scene, you were sporting some long hair tied back with a clip, and you said to Kent, you're like, "Hey, people who are in love, Mr. Clark, they have spats, but they always kiss and make up. And I'm going to give you and Lana Lang the same chance." That was one
Oh
of your
my
last lines.
God, Ryan.
That
Holy
was one of
sm
your last lines. Yeah.
Yes, it was. Holy, I
Mhm.
am impressed. Yikes.
Well, if I want the thing about having ASD, which in my case means autism spectrum disorder, is if I watch something once or twice, the whole script goes right into my noggin and I can repeat it back to you almost verbatim.
Oh my God, you have superpowers. That's a superpower.
That's my yeah, autism in my case anyway, I can't speak for everybody, but ASD is my superpower. And listen, if you have ASD, there's nothing wrong with it because that just makes you a more extraordinary person.
Yeah, that's amazing that you can have a whole script in your head like that. My God, I haven't heard that line since I said it. Oh my goodness. Yeah.
I mean, I was at a youth retreat many eons ago with friends of mine. I started quoting the first 30 minutes of Sam Raimi's first Spider-Man film. Because I like Spider-Man. I grew up watching the Spider-Man TV series in the 90s on Fox Kids, which, by the way, the 90s was so good. Fox Kids is the that was my jam. But anyway, enough about that. So let me ask you this: what was your experience like of playing roles such as Blanche in A Streetcar Named Desire or Elizabeth in The Crucible? You know, that are such classic, well-known stories. And fun fact: I played Deputy Governor Danforth in my high school version of The Crucible.
Oh my God. So you know the play.
I had to memorize over 200 lines, which was my biggest role I've ever had in my high school theater career because I did a little bit of college theater, but I didn't have as many lines in that as I did as in The Crucible. But that was my experience. I had a lot of fun doing it though because The Crucible is a huge cast, so you have a million people walking around, and it's a great story. But what was your experience like in A Streetcar Named Desire in your version of The Crucible?
You know, Streetcar Named Desire, I did with Kim Coates as my Stanley from Sons of Anarchy. He
There you
played
go.
and fabulous actor,
Hmm.
fabulous actor, um, and wonderful director Larry Lillo um, directed, and it was one of the highlights of my life actually doing that play and doing that production and playing that role. It was a long. The play is a 3.5 hour play. Larry didn't cut it. I kept hoping he would cut some of her super long speeches because the role is called the female Hamlet because she has so many lines. It's as many lines as Hamlet has, and uh, but it was such a powerful piece. Tennessee Williams' writing is so fantastic. If anyone loves theater, please read Tennessee Williams. He is one of the greatest playwrights, and he writes so beautifully about people and their vulnerability and their frailty. And he's just out of this world. Anyway, so the play, you literally get on the streetcar and you just couldn't. I was completely absorbed. There was nothing else I could do for 3.5 hours. It just takes you on this journey, and it's so beautifully written. It just takes you on this emotional journey. She shows up. She's as the sister trying to present herself as the one who's doing really well, and she's the snobby one, and she's looking down at her brother-in-law who's Polish, and he's a working class guy, and slowly it's revealed that she's a fake. She's a total fake. She's and she falls apart over the course of the play. But it was an emotional journey. I actually checked into a hotel the week before we opened, and I didn't talk to anyone.
Oh.
I really wanted to understand that loneliness that I felt was at the bottom of her story, and uh, it really helped. I just couldn't have any contact with family or friends or anything the week before we opened. It mattered so much to me that I get to understand what that was. Um, and then Crucible, Elizabeth, my God, that was directed by a wonderful director, Robin Phillips, who used to run the Stratford Festival, and
Oh.
phenomenal director, um, as was Larry. And Robin, you're familiar with the Crucible, and so he directed where people were, this frenzy. People were constantly talking on top of each other. There was this, he choreographed this overlap of dialogue that you really felt this growing hysteria, which is part of the play. It's about the Salem witch trials. It's about
Yes.
two young girls who invent a story. And it ends up with people getting killed. Um,
Mhm.
because they're accused of being witches. And of course, Arthur Miller wrote that during the McCarthy era, when people were basically, accused of being communists and sent to jail, and there was this hysteria in the United States. But Elizabeth, that part, again, was a ride, in that at the end her husband is executed, and she's at the end of the play. She's been tortured. She's been mistreated by the authorities, and then her husband dies. One of my favorite lines of all time is John Proctor's line when they say, "Why won't you sign? Why won't you just sign that says you're a witch, and then we'll let you go? Just
Confession."
sign." Yeah. And he's, and he says, "Because it is my name, because I will never have another name, because it is." And that was one of the most powerful. Anyway, it was sometimes you're blessed to be in productions that just take you all away at the same time. You're working as an ensemble, you're working together, you're trying to make the production as good as you possibly can, and every member who's in that theater with you is expending the same amount of energy and integrity and concentration and focus, and you end up with something. Talk about the sum being greater than the parts. You end up with something truly magnificent, for a joy to do, a joy to be part of, and you can feel the audience responding. You can feel them as engaged in the story as you are, and it's very powerful. I don't think I've ever experienced anything as powerful as live theater when it's great. It's because you're hitting every cell in your body. TV and film acting, a lot of it is from the neck up, right? But theater, your whole body is on stage, and the audience is there in 3 dimension. They're alive. There's a living, breathing creature happening inside a theater. I'm sorry to go on, Ryan.
No, it's okay. No, I agree with you. I mean, doing high school theater, I understand. We had 250, what was it, like 250 in the small theater that we had at the time in my high school. I know things have changed, but we had that. And when you're in there and the audience is reacting, when you hear the reactions, you can see, and granted, the lights are very bright, so it's kind of hard to see out into the audience because you got to focus on what you're doing. But at the same time, when you hear a gasp, when you hear people screaming or hollering, laughing, crying, or clapping at the end, or whatever the case may be, you realize, I've done my job. I've gotten an emotion out of somebody. That means I've done because every action has a reaction.
Exactly.
Every part of acting has a reacting. So you just gotta. It's a symbol. It's a coast, man. You just keep on going and going. Kristen Marie says, "I love theater." Well, who doesn't? I grew up I did high school theater for a couple of years. So listen, life-changing experience for me, and I'm sure it was a life-changing experience for you as well.
Oh yeah. And way to go, Kristen. Yes. And Ryan, that role of Danforth is a powerful role.
It's a lot of lines, though. Jeez. Yeah. I looked at my script and I had to highlight so many things. I'm like, I'm going to need another highlighter on aisle 3. Yeah, I got too many lines here. Yeah, producers, can you look at this, please? Yeah. So I was just highlighting like crazy. Kern says, who did you prefer for Clark, Lois or Lana at the time on the series?
Oh, boy. I think I'm going to have to go for Lana.
Wow. Kristen Crook fans in the house, everyone. I mean, we all are, but I'm just saying.
I mean, I loved Erica and I loved Kristen. I don't know. That might be just hard. I might be just hardwired for Lana.
There's no shame.
Yeah. Who would your pick be?
Both actresses did so well in their parts, but if I had, after seeing the evolution of their characters throughout all 10 seasons and 218 episodes of television, which is incredible to think about, by the way, I have to go with Lois.
Okay, fair enough.
I like Lana, I really do, but I just feel like Lois got Clark better, and Lana just I don't know. Certain things may have not have computed between the two of them. I'm not sure. I'd have to do a little bit of a dissertation. But
Yes.
I'm going with Lois. I got to go with
Yes.
Lois because when you hear Lois and Clark, it's iconic. Granted, I grew up on the '90s TV series Lois and Clark with Dean Cain and Terry Hatcher, so I'm not going to make any comments about it either. Kern says Smallville people stick with Smallville people. Yes, thank you, Kearns. This is why you and I are brothers. Thank you. I listen. We've known each other for like a couple years now, Matt and I. So we pretty much see each other on the same wavelength. It's funny how that works. We actually, believe it or not, he has a podcast on Take Three Productions, which you can find on YouTube, where he does something called the Fandom Podcast. And the first episode that he ever did was about Superman, and I was his first guest.
Oh my God, that's
And
fantastic.
we just went crazy about talking about our favorite or how much we enjoyed the character and what different iterations of the character we've watched or witnessed over the years. Granted, Kearns and I, we grew up on the same thing. The Christopher Reeve films, the Dean Cain and Terry Hatcher series, the Smallville of all Smallvilles, the cream of the crop, and everything else. And who's the other guy? Henry Cavill with Man of Steel. Kearns says Lana was Clark's first love, but Lois was here, so that's it. Or I think he means his actual really true love. I think that's what Kearns is getting at.
Right.
Okay. Fair enough.
Fair enough, Matt.
Lana was Clark's first love, but Lois was his true love. Okay, that's what he's saying. So yeah, thank you, Kearns, for clearing that up. I wasn't quite sure where you were going with that.
Should we ask Kristen who hers is?
Feel free. Feel free. Yeah. I mean, who would you pick? Who would they pick? I'm not sure.
Yeah.
We'll let people decide that within the comment section. Don't forget to share this video with all 800 of your closest friends, and make sure you make a donation at that URL that we have scrolling at the bottom of your screen here for the lovely Valerie. Every dollar, every penny counts, and also you get entered into raffles for awesome tacular prizes, including issues of Smallville magazine. Which, by the way, I still have a number of mine, including the one where I got my comments about the show published in the bullpen. So
yay! Yes.
Maybe I can get the actors to sign that too. I don't know. Kearns says, and thanks for the shout out, Ryan. Listen, Kearns, you're my brother, man. You're my brother. Brothers stick together. This guy lives up in New York. I live in Maryland, so doesn't matter where you're located, buddy. Kristen says, Lois, I like Lana, but it seems she was sometimes less supportive of his super actions, according to Kristen.
Right. Yeah.
Well, I can
see that. I can see that. Yeah.
I can kind of see where they're coming from with that. Do you have a specific genre that you hope to work in that you haven't gotten the chance to work in yet?
I love singing. I'd love to do more of that. I've done some musicals on stage that I really loved. I love singing.
What's your favorite song?
Oh, my favorite song.
Do you have a favorite that sticks out to you?
Oh my goodness, my favorite song.
It could be any song. It could be something from a show. It could be something you may have heard on the radio one day. I don't know.
Yes. I think one of my all-time favorite songs is by Stephen Sondheim called Being Alive.
Oh.
There's a if you YouTube it, there's fabulous.
I'm gonna have to research this a little bit later.
Yes, it's a wonderful, super. And also I love doing comedy. Really, I love making people laugh if I can. It's very fun.
I mean, you had a few zingers here and there on Smallville as the sheriff.
I did. That was thanks to the writers. The writers
a few zingers here and there.
Kind of put some fun words together and some fun put downs of them. Once I guess Sheriff got into that kind of down home groove, they found some good ones. Yeah, they found some good ones.
I actually went back and I saw a scene where you were interacting with Kristen, Crook, and Tom, and I think it was your introductory scene, and you said, "Miss Lang, you're lying. You said this was a good cappuccino. This is a great cappuccino."
Oh my God!
You broke that in, and I'm thinking Lana's, and because Kristen reacted to what you just said a moment ago, she says, "Excuse me, this isn't a good cappuccino. This is a great cappuccino. This is what," and Kristen was like, "Okay, thank you for the compliment about my cappuccino here at the Talon. Thank goodness." Which, by the way, I hope to visit a lot of those sets when I get the chance, if they're still around. Smallville Comic-Con is on my bucket list too, by the way. Kristen says, "I love being alive," she says.
Yay.
And Tristan also chimes in, Neil Patrick Harris has a fabulous rendition of the song itself.
Yay. I haven't seen his. I think he's the last person to play that part on Broadway. I'll have to see. Yes.
Somebody hold me too close. Somebody hurt me too, says Kristen. Okay.
That's some of the lyrics from the song. Yeah.
Ah, may have to go back and watch some YouTubes, as if I haven't watched a couple of clips of Smallville earlier today already. Somebody save me! But anyhow, what advice
Oh,
do you have for an aspiring actor or actress out there? What advice would you give them?
oh boy. Oh my goodness. Oh gosh. Um, just do as much as you can. Just do, 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 do. If you're not working, write something and do it. And do a short, write a short, put something together for yourself and best buddies, and just make opportunities happen as much as you can, because it's just there's so many people that want to act, right? And um, find out too, if you can, what you're good at. Um, you know, one of the things that was taught to me really early is always make the other guy look good. If you're
Ooh.
acting in a scene with someone, don't don't try and screw with them. Make if, and it can work in reverse too, in the sense that if you have to be a horrible human being as the character, be that horrible human being to make that other actor look good. But there's a lot of payoff in working together. And I think if you really want to act or not, because there's just really nothing else you want to do. It's some kind of weird process of elimination. It's something you can't not do. Unfortunately, fortunately or unfortunately, but any actors out there who are still struggling, just hang in there. Hang in there. If you love it, wonderful things will come for you. And also, don't be afraid to go ahead and do stuff. It's really important, especially there's so much opportunity now to, cameras are so cheap. iPhones, you can make stuff on, put it up on YouTube, and podcasts and streaming, wonderful things. It's just so important. Oh,
Kristen says maybe you'll be on stage in New York City within the future.
thank you, Kristen. I would love that.
The
I
big
would love
city,
that.
New York City, the city that never sleeps.
Yeah.
Also the home of Manhattan Melodies. Sorry, that's a Muppets movies reference, but I can't help it. I grew up on Muppet movies. That was one of the things we grew up on as kids.
Oh, of course you did. Of
I
course
mean,
you did.
I watched Muppets Take Manhattan with Manhattan Melodies, and I watched The Great Muppet Caper. What color are their hands now? I mean, Charles Grodin was in that, and God rest that man's soul. Charles Grodin, we
Oh,
miss
he
you.
was so wonderful, Charles
We
Grodin.
we miss you, man.
Yeah.
He was so
Yeah.
good in The Great Muppet Caper. That was one of my first introductions to him as an actor.
Oh, he was fabulous. He was so funny. Oh my God.
He had some good timing too. You think? He had some really good timing back then.
Such good timing. Such
Gee
good timing.
willikers, that man had timing. But is there any upcoming projects you can let us in on? Anything you can
Thank
tell us
you.
about that will not violate those things that people sign known as an NDA?
Thank you, Ryan. Yes, I've got a new animated series on Peacock. It's called The
Ooh.
Supernatural Academy.
Oh.
It is about two twin um, werewolves
Oh
who
boy.
were separated at birth, and they reconcile at the Supernatural Academy. They have to put their difficulties. They don't get along. They have to put that to rest in order to save the world. They have been cursed. They have to serve the Dragon King. But I play the most powerful fairy in the forest, and it's really fun.
Oh my. Diving back into the sci-fi
Going
mystery
back,
genre,
yeah.
aren't we?
Yes, yes, yes. I play the Elder Fairy, and I get to the so much fun about animation is, in film, you always have to bring it down, bring it down, bring it down. But in animation, it's like, no, more, more, more. So, I was actually able to do things like, how dare you? How dare you enter the forest? Things
And
like,
Kristen chimes in. My sister is sitting here going, "Ooh, at Supernatural Academy, a little Parent Trappy, maybe,
oh, interesting,
maybe."
interesting. Oh, yeah. A variation of Parent Trap for sure. It's on so it's on thank you. It's on Peacock on
Yes.
Thursday nights,
Oh.
Supernatural Academy. And I've got a couple of independent films coming out that are fun. It's the first time ever I've played um, someone with a disability.
Oh.
And It's called Call Button,
Hmm.
and talk about this one is more of a Freaky Friday. It's about a mother with MS who, for a day, gets to be in the body of her 20-year-old daughter, and her 20-year-old daughter is stuck in the body of her MS mom. And it's a very interesting film. Some of it's very funny. And it was written and directed by Rona Reese, who's a wonderful emerging filmmaker up here. And then another one I did called The Architect's Dream, which is also kind of out there, about an architect who sells her soul.
Whoa, this is heavy.
To a supernatural being. And that was directed by Francesco Papetti and produced by my son, Charlie Joe Mitchell, who is an awesome director in his own right, who's just made his first film called Almost Home, which is superb. Yeah. Then that's
congratulations to your family and your loved ones on that. That's wonderful.
Thank you. Yes, oh my God, we've got so many actors, wonderful actors in my family. My niece, Gingera Mitchell, my nephew, Jordan Connor, who's on Riverdale.
Oh yeah, that's still going.
Yes, and the very talented, my son, of course, Charlie Joe Mitchell, and my other nephew, Michael Mitchell. And yeah, my parents were both actors, and so we're kind of circus folk.
So it's fair to say that the legacy continues to live on, is what I'm trying to get at here. I see our producer from the backstage area, and by the way, she does not have a black eye. That is part of her costume. Please don't call anybody. Everything's fine. Willow, everything's fine.
Of course, I chose the character that is so far beyond Superman to dress up as.
I was gonna say. By the way, who are you dressed as, Willow? I never got the answer.
Dawn of Cry for Dawn. It's a comic book series.
Someone's gonna have to give me the 411 because I have no idea what you just said.
It's a great comic book series. It's very adult-ish.
Adult. So. Well, I think Camille and I know where we're going with that one.
I think so. We'll
set. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, see, we're all dressed up today. We're trying to look what's today? Yeah. We're trying to look our Sunday best for you, Camille. That's what we came here for.
Excellent. You guys you're doing it. You're rocking it.
Oh, thank you.
We do what we can, but where can everyone find you on social media here, Camille? Are you on any pages that people can follow you on to keep up with projects?
Thank you. Yes, I'm on Instagram, La Camille M. I have to get better at social media. I am very bad at it. But I am determined this year to get much better at it. But thank you. Yes, La Camille M on Instagram.
Well, if there's one person who can do it, it's you. We believe in you. You can do it because you're so funny. You don't even know it, Camille. That's the thing.
Bless your heart, Ron. It's been such a pleasure. Thank you so much. It's been so much fun chatting with you. And I'm so impressed with your knowledge of Smallville. My God, it's fantastic.
It's what happens when you've seen all 10 seasons and you can't stop watching certain episodes or just listening to the theme song by our good friend Remy Zero on repeat, right, Willow?
Yeah, absolutely. It's almost a shame to say goodbye to you, Camille. You are a fantastic.
She's so awesome, spectacular. She's so personable.
Oh, so, it's been so fun.
I mean, you're welcome to join in on the Smallville conversation that's about to happen.
Yeah, we're actually going to do a panel here momentarily about all things Smallville, which you may know a thing or two because you were there a thing or two. So there you go.
Thank you. Well, I would, but I have a commitment. But
okay.
But I've loved this. Thank you so much, and
no problem.
And thank you for doing this for Valerie. It's wonderful that
you're welcome.
And don't forget, I have these that I'm happy to send on.
Yep.
Thank you
The people in the private chat will be communicating with you about that. So thank you so much, and thank you for spending part of your Sunday with us, Camille. On behalf of all of us here at the Multiverse Fundraiser, we appreciate you.
Thank you, and I appreciate you. Thank you very, very much. Have a wonderful day, and thank you for doing this event. Thank you.
Thanks, Camille.
No.
The Multiverse Fundraiser is a benefit for Oscar-nominated actress Valerie Perrine. Ms. Perrine is known for her roles in Superman, Slaughterhouse-5, Lenny, and so many more. We've teamed up with documentary director Stacey Souther to raise money for Valerie's medical expenses and other needs. Every donation and every post share gives you the chance to win super prizes. Go to the website listed for details.